Yes, and welcome to today's show. This is Just for Clicks, and I'm the host of the show, Michael Buckheiser. And on today's show, we're going to talk the Dallas Cowboys after their win last night over the Philadelphia Eagles. Are they in the driver's seat? Are they the team to beat in the NFC East? Is Jason Garrett's job safe? All that and much more on today's show right after the intro.
Goes down. So I pulled up and said, I'm your man. I can start right now, and we shook hands. He said the fence needs fixing, the peaches need picking, and the cows need bringing round. I was hauling hay, I was feeding.
And that is what Zeke Elliott was doing last night. He was the man among men last night, carrying the Dallas Cowboys to an impressive 27-20 win over those dreaded Philadelphia Eagles. And if you guys have not seen that highlight of Zeke hurdling over that defender, must go see it. Yeah, that man deserves a round of applause. That was an amazing performance on him last night. Zeke Elliott had 19 carries for 150 yards, and he put the Cowboys on his back and said, follow me to the promised land, my friends. So, as you guys know, earlier this week, a rumor started to surface about Jason Garrett, about the front office, about basically how the Dallas Cowboys needed to implode itself, to improve itself, to become a championship contender team. This is coming directly from Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman, the quarterback of the Cowboys, that led them to, I believe, 3 Super Bowls back in the early 90s. Since then, the Cowboys really haven't done anything. I think they have 1 playoff win since their last Super Bowl. And their head coach since then has been Jason Garrett. And people are basically saying it's time for him to go. Under Jason Garrett, they are just a mediocre team. You know, they are happy to get 9-6. They're happy to get 9-7. They're happy to get 10-6. You know, they had one good season when Dak and Zeke first came to the team, and they went 13-3, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs that they played. So just going back to last night's game here, there were a lot of questions. If the Cowboys lost this game, was Jason Garrett going to have a job? Was Dak Prescott the future quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys? Was it time to implode the front office? Were those questions answered last night? The answer to that question is no. The questions were not answered last night. Jason Garrett still probably needs to go as a Dallas Cowboys head coach. As Cowboys fans, I don't know why you guys like Jason Garrett. I am a Cowboys fan. I'm not a diehard Cowboys fan, but I am a Cowboys fan. They're my second team that I root for in the NFL. And quite frankly, as a, I guess you can say, passive Cowboys fan, I want to see them do well. I want them to be in the playoffs. I want them to make it to the NFC Championship game, but Jason Garrett has to go. Jason Garrett is the common denominator in all these mediocre seasons. Jason Garrett has to go. It is time to replace him. It is time to usher in the new era. Maybe bring in, I don't know, the Ravens head coach that they're parting ways with at the end of the season. What is his name? Jim Harbaugh. Maybe Mike Shanahan from the Broncos from back in the day. You know, there are tons of names that are out there that the Cowboys can bring in and pretty much have immediate impact. You know, you can even do what the Oakland Raiders did and dip into the broadcast booth and see if there's somebody there that they want to bring. But Jason Garrett has to go. If you Cowboys ever want to be good ever again, you got to get rid of the common denominator, and that's the head coach.
Headshot.
Yeah, it is a headshot, and quite frankly, it is sad to see that you guys are so okay with mediocrity. As a Chiefs fan, they are my number one team. As most of you know, the Kansas City Chiefs. We were not okay with mediocrity, so we traded Alex Smith and we brought Patrick Mahomes on to be our downfield passer, to be our winner, to put those fans in the seat and give them a good show. That's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys need to do with Jason Garrett. Stop being satisfied with being mediocre. Stop satisfied with being 8-8, 9-6, or 9-7. It's just not. It's just not fun anymore as a Cowboys fan. But watching them last night, they were impressive in the first quarter. I believe what was 10-3 going in the second quarter, maybe. They were pretty impressive going into halftime. 17-3 was the halftime score, if I'm not mistaken. That third quarter, they came out and looked like crap, flat out crap. I believe at one point the Eagles had the game tied at 17-all. Maybe it was 20-all. I'm not 100% sure on that. I was at work at the time and I was kind of zoning in and out of the game, but that Vander Esch kid, he is a man. That is a man's man.
Yes.
Yes, that man, a rookie linebacker. He is a savior of the Dallas Cowboys right now, single-handedly. He brings heart, he brings emotion, he brings that Sean Lee factor to the Cowboys that Sean Lee brings those 5 or 6 games that he plays in a game.
In your face, sucker!
Yeah, Sean Lee is something that I'll get into in a little bit here, but that Vander Esch kid, he is going to be a great linebacker, maybe even Ray Lewis type. I mean, I am rooting for this kid 100%. I went on NFL.com and bought his jersey last night because I am going to the Colts Cowboys game here. The week before Christmas, so about a month away, and I'm going to proudly wear that jersey. Speaking of Sean Lee, this is another player that they need to part ways with as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Sean Lee is a great player those 5 or 6 games that he plays every year. Yes, you heard me. 5 or 6 games every year that Sean Lee plays, he brings this factor to the Dallas Cowboys that cannot be controlled. The Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl contending team if Sean Lee is in the game. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he says. I don't know what emotion he brings. But people feed off him, and the Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl contending team with him in the lineup. The minute he goes down, they are a subpar team. With that being said, it is time to cut ways with Sean Lee. It is time to stop hoping he gets healthy. It is time to stop, maybe next year he'll be healthy. Oh, maybe next year. This has been going on for 5 or 6 years that he has played 6 games, 7 games tops, and he just cannot stay healthy. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if the drugs that he's taking is just tearing up his body. I don't know if he's not working hard in the weight room. But whatever it is, he cannot stay healthy. So, to referring back to the topic of today's podcast, is the Dallas Cowboys finally in the driver's seat after winning last night's game? Let me go over some the rest of the games for the conference. We're going to start with Washington. They start out with the Texans. They're at Dallas, at Philly, play the Giants, at Jacksonville, at Titans, at the Eagles. Washington Redskins are currently 6-3, okay? So when they play the Texans next week, I had that down as a win. Then they travel to Dallas with their depleted line, with the Cowboys kind of on the surge of a high, like a little bit. I'm going to mark that up as a loss. And then they travel to Philly. That's a loss as well. Then they're back at home versus a struggling Giants team. I have them winning that game as well. Then this game that they have next is the Jacksonville Jaguars at Jacksonville. This will be, week 15. Jacksonville's pretty much done. So they are going to be playing the role of the spoiler at this point, and I think they're going to come out and they're going to knock Redskins and the mouth, and Washington loses this game as well. Then they travel to Tennessee Titans, the same Tennessee Titans that whooped the Patriots this week. But I have the Washington Redskins winning that game. And then they play an Eagles team at home. And I have them beating the Eagles. So I have the Washington Redskins finishing 10-6. Okay, so you still ask yourself, is the Dallas Cowboys in the driver's seat? Well, let's jump over to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's look at their remaining schedule. They play the Saints next week at New Orleans. I have that as a loss. Then they play the New York Football Giants. I have them winning that one. And then I have them beating the Redskins, as the previous stated. And then they travel to Dallas. I have them winning that game as well. Then they travel to L.A. to play the Rams. I have them losing that game. Then they travel, and then they play at home the Texans. That's a loss. I had them playing the Redskins the final game of the year, and that's a loss. So the Eagles finish 7-6, and I have them remaining in third place for the remainder of the season. Next up is the New York Football Giants. They play the 49ers tonight on Monday Night Football. I actually have them winning that game. And then I have them beating the Bucs at home, losing to the Eagles at the Eagles, losing to the Bears, losing to the Redskins, losing to the Titans, losing to the Colts, and losing to the Cowboys. So Giants finished 3-13 in last place in the division. So it basically right now it's down to the Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. Like I said, I'm going to repeat the question: is Dallas in the driver's seat to win this division? Well, let's look at their remaining schedule. They're at Atlanta this week. I had that down as a loss. Yes, I've seen the Falcons lose to the Browns, and Falcons just didn't look good. But there's something about a week-to-week thing in the NFL that the Falcons could look like a Super Bowl team this week, and I think that's their game. This next game is their Super Bowl. It is a must-win. Then they have the Redskins at home. That's a win. I have them. Then they have Saints at. That's a loss. Then they play the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a loss. Then they beat the Colts, beat the Bucs, and beat the Giants to finish 8-8. So, is Dallas in the driver's seat? The answer to that question is no, they're not. Washington Redskins are still in the driver's seat in the NFC East. I have them finishing out 10-6. I have the Cowboys finishing in second place at 8-8, and the Eagles finishing at 7-9. So the Cowboys have a lot to prove still. If they truly want Jason Garrett to keep this job, they're going to have to finish a lot better than 8-8. They're going to have to finish 10-6. They're going to have to beat the Falcons. They're going to have to beat the Eagles. They pretty much need to win. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more games. They need to win 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 or 6. They need to win 6 out of their last 8 games. 6 out of their last games will finish them at 10-6. They play the Eagles twice, right? I'm sorry. They play the Redskins. Then they play the Saints, Eagles, Colts, and Bucs. All very winnable games, except for the Saints. They're not going to beat the Saints. It's going to be a freaking blowout. It's going to be 45-0, same thing that Saints did to Cincy. So they got to beat the Falcons. They got to beat the Eagles. They can only afford one loss. They can afford one loss to the Saints. Other than that, that's the only way they'll be in the driver's seat. They have to win out, basically. Basically have to win out to have a chance to keep Jason Garrett's job. Jason Garrett is out at the end of the season. I don't care what Jerry Jones says. Jason Garrett is out at the end of the season. So to answer today's podcast question, is Dallas finally in the driver's seat? Answer to that question is no, they're not. They're not in the driver's seat. Washington Redskins still own that division, even missing 4 of their 5 linemen. The Eagles still... I think the Eagles have a better chance of winning that division than the Cowboys do. As painfully as that says, painfully as that feels, the Eagles have a better chance than the Cowboys to win the division. Answer the question is no.